Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this important Cultures United conversation. In our last conversation, we discussed housing insecurity in Orange County. Our panel discussed how the effects of housing insecurity ripple through our community, impacting health, education, employment stability, and overall quality of life. It was a great discussion that included hopeful solutions and insightful information. If you would like to watch this discussion or any of our past Cultures United episodes, please go to the Cultures United webpage and watch our past conversations section. Orange County has so many diverse cultures, and we love highlighting and celebrating them. And today we're going to talk about first-generation student success. For students who are the first in their families to navigate college applications, professional internships, or career planning, the path forward can feel like walking without a map. The knowledge that many families pass down informally isn't available to everyone. So this conversation will explore what success means across Orange County's communities. Today, our panel will unpack the unique pressures first-generation college students face, the support systems that make a difference, and how families and institutions can work together to support students in achieving their educational and career goals. So let's take a further look at that. Now on the screen, you'll see a breakdown of what first-generation student success looks like in the United States currently. It's also key to note that careers in the trades are on the rise among young adults who are looking to expand their opportunities post-high school graduation. Today, we are fortunate to have a panel of highly respected educational leaders from across Orange County who have a wide array of experience working with students directly. They'll share insights and strategies and discuss ways our community can come together to support students preparing for their careers or exploring higher education. Today's conversation will be led by none other, the one and only Sergio Contreros, Executive Director, United for Student Success here at Orange County United Way. We are looking forward to the discussion he will be leading today with our panelists. He's a trusted member of our Orange County United Way team and has an extensive background in education. We are thrilled to have him here today. So welcome, Sergio. Thank you for leading the conversation, and take it away.
Thank you, Sue. As a first-generation college grad myself, I'm honored to moderate today's conversation. As you mentioned, one of the things that is so great about Cultures United, and that it is a forum where we can have a conversation about how all of us can live and work together. And thank you to everyone for joining us today. As students and families prepare for the new school year, we're excited to have a conversation about what it means to be first in the family, and how we can work together to help every student succeed. For many students, being the first in the family to navigate college applications, career planning, and life after high school is both exciting and overwhelming. The path isn't always clearly marked, and that's why conversations like today matter. At United Way, we believe students' success is not defined by one destination, whether it's a student pursuing a four-year university, community college, career tech education, a trade apprenticeship, entering the workforce right out of high school. Our goal is the same: ensuring every young person is prepared for college, career, and life. Through United for Student Success, we've helped over 3,000 Orange County students this year and given them more than 8,000 opportunities to learn about colleges and careers. The numbers are important, but they don't show is everything. Every number and every student who discovers something new because someone cared enough to help. Today, I like to explore not only the challenges first generations face, but also the opportunities that exist when schools, families, nonprofits, businesses, and community leaders work together. I'm honored to be here today's guide and have this importantly timely conversation on student success. So let's get started. Let's welcome our distinguished guests. We'll start with Eric Dykes, an educator and avid coordinator at Huntington Beach Union High School District, also at my former alma mater, Westminster High School. Welcome, Eric.
So excited to be here. Thank you.
Also welcome President Jessica Guerrero. She's currently the board president of the Anaheim Union High School District. Welcome, Jessica.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
We also have Trustee Christine Hernandez. She is a trustee at Huntington Beach Union High School District. Let's welcome Trustee Hernandez.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Also, Scott Reindl, coordinator at 21st Century Readiness for Anaheim Union High School District. Welcome, Scott.
Good morning, everyone. Honored to be here. Thank you, Sergio.
Great. And Ulises, Director of Career and Tech Education at Garden Unified School District. Let's welcome Ulises.
Good morning, everyone. So happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you here. So let's get started. We'll start with an easy question. I think really, if you guys help answer this, is really please tell us a little about yourself. What is your role you play in education, in the education space, and why you are here today to talk about first generation student success?
Well, I'm working at my alma mater, right? Along with Sergio and I were classmates. But 29 years ago, I was brought in to run the AVID program at Westminster High School. And my passion has always been, having graduated from the high school, we were missing that college and career piece to help, especially our first generation students, move on. So I'm super proud. We are now a nationally recognized national demonstration site. We send nearly 100 students each year from our elective program to college. Almost all go for free. And we've expanded that program to impact the whole school. So we're excited that we help all families, whether they're in the AVID elective or not, access the college and career path, whether it's financial aid, just that opportunity knowledge piece, anything that we can support our students so that they can make the best decision for themselves, whether it's college, career, trade school, whatever. And so I'm super proud to be here and super proud of our accomplishments.
Likewise, I'm proud to serve on the Anaheim Union High School District Board of Trustees, current board president. I'm actually a product of the AVID program that Eric mentioned from the exact district that I represent today. I also came back to be an AVID tutor. So very first generation students have always been at the core of my career and making sure that we're supporting them just like students and families like myself. I've also worked at UC Irvine as an academic advisor, helping students navigate through their first year college, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit today. And just like the different challenges, even like selecting a major with so many possibilities. I'm also really proud of the work today on the board, just supporting first generation students like myself. So thank you so much for having me and hosting this important conversation.
Good morning. So in addition to serving as trustee for the Huntington Beach Union High School District, which I'm so proud to be a part of, I'm also an active parent in the community. So this is really near and dear to my heart, and being involved in our feeder districts and making sure that parents stay engaged. This topic of first generation student success, like I said, is near and dear to my heart because as the first in my household to go to college, I know that it wasn't easy. I was really ashamed to share this, I think, in my 20s, but I was this close to going on academic probation in my first semester at a 2.05 GPA, and I was still able to finish in 4 years. And it was because I had supportive campus advisors and peers who helped me persist when I needed it the most and, made sure I had that support. So before coming into my role with a national nonprofit, I spent over a decade working on college campuses, supporting student success with programs like first year experiences, orientation, that first year seminar, student leadership, civic engagement, wellness, really seeing the whole gamut of the student experience through that time. And as the first in my household to go, it was so important to me to be able to provide that support and help those students succeed, because if somebody did it for me, I wanted to make sure to do it for somebody else.
And so my role at Anaheim Union High School District is to support all of our CTE pathways, career technical education, which are sequences of classes that prepare students for various careers, including the trades that Sue mentioned earlier, computer science, healthcare, hospitality, media arts, and so on. So providing students with the skills to pursue those as potential careers. But I also support our AIM program, which is a career mentoring and internship program that provides students with opportunities to explore potential careers, develop mentoring relationships with adults in the business world, and participate in internships. Our I think our approach in AUHSD, the piece that works so well is our community schools approach, where we bring the resources of the community. For my role, that's business partners, but we also bring in social emotional supports, nonprofits, all the assets of the community to support whole child education. And I think that's critical as we think about supporting first generation students going forward. So we're focused really on graduating our students, not only college ready, but having a sense of voice and purpose, having the skills, having the resiliency to succeed going forward. So, that we believe that approach really can help our first generation students and all students be successful.
Thanks again. Oh, sorry.
Thank you again for having me. So this year marks my 20th year in education. And if you would have asked anybody back when I was in school that I would be doing this work, they wouldn't believe it. Because not only was I a first generation college student, I was a first generation high school graduate in my family. So I was not on track to be in the educational space. Now I'm fortunate, having been a teacher, a school administrator. I've been an advisor to the State Board of Education during the development of ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act. And now being able to support districts. I'm at Garden Grove Unified School District, and I have the opportunity to help with career technical education. And one of the things that really anchors our work at Garden Grove Unified School District are the 3 goals of the district, which is academic skills, personal skills, and lifelong success. And CTE and the conversation we're talking about really ties to that lifelong success. And then the framework that we really follow within the CTE program is this idea of the 3 E's: explore, experience, and envision. We want students to earlier on be able to explore, their aptitudes, their options a lot earlier. We want them to experience the actual content that they're learning, being able to engage, hands-on problem solving. So by the time they graduate, they don't just graduate with a diploma, but they really are able to envision their unique future. And that's really what we want to be able to provide them, that opportunity to have a clear vision and the self-efficacy to pursue their own personal goals.
Well, thank you all. I mean, I'm excited to have you all here and be part of the conversation. So let's start with something positive. Each of you works closely with students every day. So what is one student success story that stayed with you and one that reminds you of why this work matters?
Well, Sergio, you and I both know this student very well. Her name was Giselle Marmolejo. And Giselle was a first generation student who in middle school loved to fight. But her teachers and principal just saw something magical in her and said, hey, give her a chance in the AVID program. And we brought her into the AVID program. And our 3 key things that we try to teach all of our AVID students is access to rigor, opportunity knowledge, what's out there. And we've been talking a little bit about this, right? And then student agency. And Giselle really embraced that student agency piece. So as a freshman, she went up to the then United Way CEO and introduced herself. And she was super scared to do it and asked for permission to do that for me. She went and introduced herself. And over time, she became the National United Way student representative, went on to NYU, got an internship, and then started to work with Google. And now today, she is running an entire corporation where she is, again, giving back to the communities and helping first gen people, because she realized, looking back, that the things that she got from Westminster High School in the AVID program was something that not all students are getting it on their campuses. And so I'm super proud of her and her accomplishments. I'll be attending her wedding in February.
Wow, that's a great story.
I think very similarly, just thinking about all the students that have graduated from AUHC as a board member, definitely graduation season really reflects just the personal perseverance that our students have gone through to get their graduation. We get to hear a lot of graduation speeches, but some of the most impactful ones are ones, where students face challenges, whether that be like previously incarcerated, coming from the foster system, being the first in a family to just graduate high school or go into college. It's just incredibly impactful, and it really shows why this work matters and the tools and resources that we're able to provide them in order to be successful. That's one of my favorite seasons, also because you get to see the families and you see it in their faces, right? The pride and just the overwhelming happiness that they achieve this goal in their life and on to the next chapter of their lives.
And they don't pour out in small numbers. They come out pretty excited with tons of flowers.
Yes, flowers. We have music. We have bandas. It's a big celebration.
Love it.
Well,
Yeah.
and in thinking about that family environment, or that graduation moment, thinking about this question, I go, and I've had this happen multiple times, but every time I think about this question, I picture one of my former students, Jose, who I got to see him go from being a freshman to all the way to a senior and really grow in his leadership. And as a campus administrator, you don't spend as much time with their family for good reason. They're supposed to be on their own. But that moment of celebration, he had just been, initiated into a program, and I got to meet his family for the first time and tell them what an amazing student he was. And they didn't know. They for them, they don't get to hear the things that he does. You get a certain version of what's happening at school, but to connect with the parents at that moment and let them know, he's managing budgets that are in the hundreds of thousands as a 20-year-old. And here's the policy that he's been able to shift, and having just that 10 minutes of time to see that student as a whole, time and time again, but especially with Jose, I think there's just so much pride in being able to do that. And so knowing that those two worlds can be connected, even just for a brief moment.
Yeah, that kind of speaks to the confidence that students can gain from things like mentorship. I was thinking about a student in our Kindset program, which is an entrepreneurial program, but it teaches students to come up with business ideas to support spreading kindness in our community. It was built upon former Anaheim Mayor Tom Tate's City of Kindness initiative. But the student was college ready, graduated college ready, got into UC Riverside. But as a result of the Kindset program, chose to go into public policy as her major because she learned about supporting the community, the power of nonprofits to support the community. But she was also invited to be part of their Dean's Ambassador program after a pretty rigorous interview process. And so she wrote back to her instructor that when they were going through the orientation for this program, they were learning about etiquette, professional dress, handshakes, and things called power poses, if you know what that is, to handle stressful situations. But the student said, I already knew all of that stuff thanks to this program, and she just felt so prepared to participate at that level. And it's amazing to see the confidence building that can come from providing mentoring to students, so that they have the academics, but then they have that confidence to walk into tough situations and to succeed.
I think for me, the example that comes to mind is a very micro example. In CT, I mentioned the threes and being able to provide students with actual, the experience with the actual content. And we recently had a skilled trades pathway that we started at Garden Grove Unified Schools District in the construction trades. And so we offered an after-school opportunity for students to experience it and be able to do hands-on. And as part of the program at the end, we had a showcase where students did an electrical unit. They had a light bulb, a light switch, a socket. And when the students were completing it, I'm kind of in the background, I'm the administrator with my badge, and I'm just kind of walking around. And the teacher, the instructor, is walking around also just checking that students are being safe. But I'm looking at the panorama picture, and I see this one student who is putting his electrical unit together, and all of a sudden he plugs in his cell phone, and it lights up, and I can see his face lights up like, oh, it's working. And he taps his classmate on the shoulder, goes, hey bro, it's working, it's charging my phone. And then he calls his teacher, but he gets a little bit more professional, and he's like, hey, Mr. Castillo, it's working, it's actually charging. And what I found so neat about that little moment is not only did it actually work, but the confidence he just gained in the fact that he actually did something. There was a cause and there was an effect. And I think a lot of our opportunities provide that experience for students where they actually get to do something. They see that there's actually a positive result, and that those micro moments just build and build, and it builds this confidence that by the time they finish a lot of our experiences in all our districts, they're better prepared. And so that's the one thing that came to mind right now.
Those are all great stories in my head. I'm just thinking about all kinds of adventures myself, but those are examples of relationships and people connecting. I'm very excited to again continue this conversation. And I want to direct my first question to Eric. You know, AVID was created to help students who may not have access to the same college knowledge networks as their peers. What are some of the biggest misconceptions first generation students and their families have about applying to and attending college, and how can schools help demystify the process?
Well, first I want to say I think it is too mystifying right now. There's a lot of roadblocks and challenges that our students run into as they're going through the process, whether it's college, career, trade school, whatever, but really providing the opportunity knowledge, not just to the students, but to the families. So we really go out of our way to teach our parents and our students about the steps to applying to college, financial aid. Right now, everything in the news is how expensive college is. And it can be, right? But it doesn't have to be. So most of the AVID students at Westminster High School, they go for free. We teach them how to apply for the Cal Grant, the Pell Grant, the DREAM Act, whatever it is. The state of California supports these students, but so many of our parents come in and say, oh, you know, I hear it's too expensive. I don't want my kids to go into debt. And so providing that knowledge, we do something really cool at Westminster too, is every single senior gets a chance to apply somewhere. We have experts coming in from the community college, trade schools, private, CSUs, UCs, and every student spends a day applying somewhere and having some support to get through some of those sometimes challenging questions that aren't worded for kids. But the last thing that we've just recently started doing that I think we do exceptionally well at Westminster is we realize having strangers, we try to have someone during our parent information nights and things like that, having someone that speaks the native language, but it's a stranger a lot of the times. So what we've started to do is build that student agency piece and have our students do the presenting to their parents, to the community, and showing, hey, we know this, mom and dad. This is what we are learning in school. This is what we want to share with you. And it's been so utterly powerful to see the students stand before the community and share what they've learned, because the parents and community tends to really embrace it. So that's kind of my piece.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I think bringing families together and having them sit in the same room with their student side by side, learning together, I think has been really exciting for us, even for United for Student Success, working with programs like Destination Graduation that does work on that demystifying college process. The excitement when parents understand also in their own native language, kind of what the same thing their students are learning about the college application process. I mean, to me, just generates so much momentum and excitement within families, because I think there's barriers that begin to be broken down between the student and the family about, information. And when they two come together, I think it's a lot of great synergy. So I agree. And thank you for sharing that, because I definitely believe that's a very important part. And of course, every family also brings their own values and expectations to the conversation, which leads us to the next question. And this question is for President Guerrero. As someone who serves a diverse district and is deeply connected to the community, also someone that grew up in the local schools, how have you seen the cultural expectations shape the way families define success for their children, and how has that definition evolved over time?
Yes, thank you for the question. So reflecting on my own experience, as first generation student, daughter of immigrants, which reflects a lot of the background of the students in our district. It's definitely knowing that watching your family make sacrifices, watching my family make sacrifices to create opportunities for myself that they never had. It's definitely a different, not type of pressure, but a good type of pressure of honoring those sacrifices, right? I think a lot of our students connect to that. You definitely see that across some of the different career pathways that we host our students at AUHSD, and across every culture in our district. Parents want their children to have choices they didn't have, right? So now as a first generation student, you have the opportunity to have access to all of these resources, to have a better life than your family that came here as a student. And I think that's just such a cultural aspect of honoring that sacrifice, honoring that pressure. And then also when you get there, also helping students also reach that goal as well. So looking back and helping others down that path. And it's also not just like college and career, but in different pathways. I know some of them mentioned like even like in the trades, or you're entering right in the workforce. As a first generation student, it doesn't just stop when you graduate, when you go to college. You know, when you enter your career, it's also first generation and learning how to. I think Eric mentioned it, like handshake or write an email or something as simple as that. That's also something that you learn as a first generation student, and I think you see that students struggling through that, but they also, I've definitely seen as a board member and also within my own family, bringing your family along in that journey. You see students when they pack up or they go to their dorm, or their families like teaching them how to cook because they're going to be by themselves for the first time. It's honoring that journey and that tradition and bringing them along for all of your success and your challenges.
Yeah, thank you. And Orange County Public Schools are doing some remarkable work to prepare students for the future, but none of that happens in isolation. From your perspective, and that's everyone here on the screen today, what makes our schools successful, and why is collaboration among school districts, nonprofits, higher education, businesses, and families so essential to helping students thrive?
Yeah, I think a big piece of it is that we've talked a lot about skills, a lot about other supports that students need, as we mentioned, beyond academics, and I think that's where the collaboration can really support our students going forward. When you bring in those community resources, you bring in as Dr. Garcia mentioned it, opportunities for exposure and using those skills. And I mentioned earlier that our approach is a community schools approach, and many districts are taking this approach where we look and map out community assets that can support our students along the way. And a big problem for students is falling through the cracks through the transition. So you think about going from elementary to junior high to high school to college or to trade school, et cetera. Having that collaboration among various institutions can really help students not fall through the cracks, and we can provide those supports in a coordinated way. So I think that's a critical piece.
And I think one thing that I would add to that is that we're doing really well as a community is we're starting to listen more to the student. We're starting to listen more to the parents. We're starting to not just be the experts. We really want to know what are they bringing to the table. So we're creating this two-way communication that I think is very valuable. I remember when I first started as a brand new teacher, and I started through Teach for America, and I was very idealistic, and I was thinking, I'm going to change students' lives. And I was teaching at a primarily, community that, English wasn't the native language. And I thought, well, they're just like me. And I would start giving just what I thought should happen. And I would start getting students saying like, no, that's not what I want, or that's not how I think. And it was a realization that I can't assume what they need as well. And I think as an educational system, we're doing a better job of listening to students, of creating opportunities for parents to tell us what they need and what they know. And by doing so, we're creating greater connections with business, with workforce, because a lot of our community is obviously already working, already owning businesses, and being able to tap into those resources, I think creates a greater ecosystem that supports everybody.
I would just add in, we live in a community, a society. None of us are alone or work in silos. And so if you're graduating from high school or moving from middle school to high school or to college, your career, somebody's got to hire you. Somebody's got to, put you in there. And so if you can't work alone, you have to be able to share that knowledge. And I think all of us can be, and I think especially in this room, are lifelong learners. And so what did education look like 10 years ago, even 5 years ago? Imagine 2021 with COVID and everything. It's so different in 2026 versus what it might be in another couple of years. And so we constantly have to be able to learn from each other. And I think especially with the folks that are here, we're all here for the right reason of wanting to support student success and providing the resources. And, school districts can't do it alone. Nonprofits can't do it alone. We each play our own role. And so being able to have that commitment to support this next generation, because they are a part of our community just as much. So I think that collaboration is key. It's not, one way that we can do it. It's really understanding the community as a whole in order to provide those resources.
And connections create curiosity too, right? So the more connections that our community can have with as many entities as possible, maybe I'm not the jam that gets a student excited by what I say, but all of a sudden they talk to Sergio because he comes in and is a guest speaker, and they're like, I want to be like that guy. I want to reach out to him. And so when they have those connections, they build that curiosity, and then that curiosity hope leads to something. The other thing we need to remember too, though, is these are teenagers, and teenagers change their mind all the time, right? They most of our teenagers aren't going to know what they want to do. They're so blessed if they do. So creating all these connections, having CTE, having these different pathways, and giving kids a chance to explore through, again, this synergy of all these different entities really gives our kids the best chance to be successful. Because they're going to pivot, and they're going to pivot a lot. And with AI coming in, we're going to see them having to pivot more. So I think it's vital, and I just love what all of us are doing in our communities. I don't think our families and students know how special they have it.
Yeah, and I think just echoing everyone, just making sure that, as mentioned, I didn't get to where I'm at alone. I know many people in this room didn't. And just having those connections, and then being able to provide those connections for our students is just incredibly important. And I'm always grateful for the partnerships that partner with our school districts, including OC United Way, and a lot of our AIM partnerships, as Scott mentioned, that really just open the door for our students to have that opportunity to see themselves in their shoes, right? That's so important. And I'm grateful for that opportunity to continue to expand the student opportunities across our district.
Yeah, and thank you all, because clearly one theme I keep hearing over and over is student success is truly a community effort. It takes all of us working together to create opportunities for students and their families. So Christine, I like to build on that from a leadership perspective. School boards play a big role in creating opportunities for students. What policies or investments have you seen make a great difference in helping first-generation students feel supported and prepared for life after high school?
Yeah, so I think a key piece of the puzzle is looking at the student as a whole. And what I love about my high school district is this emphasis on knowing every name, face, and story, and knowing, I think as Eric mentioned, it's not one size fits all. What resonates with one student may look different for another. And so approaching student success means providing different opportunities for students to explore careers, different academic interests that set them up to make their own choices after graduation. I heard the word pivot, and what may be a major today or a career now won't be there later, but giving as many opportunities as possible so that students have completed the A through G requirements, they can decide what it is that they want to do that's going to work best for their own pathway. Makes it so much easier for them versus limiting their experiences, and then they find that they're going to have to do some additional work after graduation. And so giving them as much as we can. And that also looks like investment in career and technical education. It looks like providing space for students to own what they're learning. So not just being told this is what's on your tests, but really giving them an opportunity to become academically curious about that, what they're learning, why they're learning it, why it's important. And in order to get to that kind of learning environment, it takes coordination across multiple stakeholders, our teachers, our staff, our families, community partners. Community partners play a huge role in what kind of wraparound supports can we provide to our students. And while that's not always easy, the time and investment pays off. And then lastly, there is a certain amount of, all school districts have to be held accountable. So it's great to have, these big plans, but how are we looking at what the data shows? What are the stories? What can we do to make an improvement so that we can continue to support our students and continue to be better? And so I think those are just some of those significant ways that school districts across the board can really support our students after high school.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Scott, one of the biggest challenges is helping students and families see that there isn't just one path to success. Like college isn't always a path for everyone. So how can schools and employer partners work together to expose students to opportunities like apprenticeships, certifications, internships, and directly into the workforce?
Yeah, we, in Anaheim Union High School District, we have something called the Career Preparedness Systems Framework, and it's has three pillars. Two of them have to do with skills, 21st century or essential skills. Secondly, technical skills, but right at the top, and we really try and keep it center is youth voice and purpose, and it kind of goes back to what Dr. Garcia said about listening to the students and listening to the families. So our counselors work closely with students to develop. We're a 7 through 12 district, to develop 6-year plans, and then to let students explore and think about those possibilities. And we know that college readiness is not enough. We need to make sure that students have a plan with a purpose following high school. So we do an annual college and career fair where we bring in the trades, we bring in the community colleges, and those various resources. But there's a lot of work prior to those college and career fairs that happens in the classroom to help students identify their strengths, their interests, to approach events like that with a sense of purpose. But those events and the community engagement of our community schools approach I referenced earlier really help engage families and think about the various possibilities after high school. I think our district and school districts in general, we've talked a lot about, we're not doing it alone. We're bringing in a lot of partners, and the more we collaborate effectively with those partners, the more we can build that awareness for our students and their families of these different opportunities. There's great opportunities for apprenticeships that provide paid training right into the trades for students. Our community, we have a very rich community college system that has career tech ed pathways in various careers. So, building that awareness along the way, but making sure that student voice and purpose is at the center of those conversations is critical as well.
And that definitely is a great perspective. I mean, we work every summer to place students in companies throughout the summer, and it's exciting to see how these employers come back and actually invite some of these students to come back and work for them, because they believe that some of these high school students are probably performing better than some of their current employees, which is funny at the same time, but very exciting how we're able to connect and create opportunities for these students. My last question is for Ulises. Let's make this practical for families. Career tech education has transformed opportunities for students across Orange County. What are some of today's most promising career pathways that many parents may not realize can lead to meaningful careers with earning potential needed to build a stable future here in Orange County?
I'm gonna mention three, and then I'll do a little twist to my answer. So, medical technology is one that I think is moving really quickly and advanced. It's providing a lot of opportunities. So, medical technology. A lot of people just think doctor. In fact, my daughter's in medical school right now, but medical technology is one that is that's valuable. Manufacturing, different forms of manufacturing, and also clean energy. So I'll mention those three. But the twist that I'll throw into that is that there's a lot of opportunities in the infrastructure for those opportunities. So oftentimes people think of, like, when they think of clean energy, they might be thinking about solar, but it's like, what is the systems behind it? So electric vehicles might be one thing that comes to mind, but the charging stations might be something to consider. So it would be the infrastructure that might be the opportunity that we have to expose parents about, so that students not only think about like that front opportunity like doctor, but that there's like technology behind it. So I think those would be some things for parents to consider, and the students.
Yeah, thank you, Ulises. And I think that's a great reminder that today's students have more pathways to success than ever before, and some of it just starts by making that first connection. So we've covered a lot of ground today, but we have many questions in the audience that have been submitted, and I want to thank you all for submitting questions. We may not get to all of them, but we'll try. But we'll start off with the first one because we are running out of time. So this one comes from Lily Ball, Schools on Wheels. How can first unhoused students be better supported? That goes to the entire panel.
I think just reflecting from our school district that I know was mentioned, we have our community schools model that really helps our students provide resources that they need. So it's the first step is identifying the services that our students need, right? And then filling the gaps that our school district can. Just thinking of an example, this past year, our community schools partnered with laundromat services in the city of Anaheim to provide free vouchers for our foster and unhoused students to have access to clean clothing, right? And then that helps them in the long run to not have to worry about that and focus on school and education. So thank you for that question, because it's very vital, but it's making sure that our school district is able to address the resources and services to support first generation unhoused students.
I think too, it's important to not just while they're in school, but as they transition from the high school setting to whatever they're doing afterwards, making sure that we get them in contact with the resources outside of what we do on campus. Also having at a site where we have a community schools model too, they get those resources. We have a liaison to support them, but a lot of times all of a sudden they get cut off. And so we want to make sure that transition from graduation to wherever they're headed, they have the support that they need to make sure that they can be successful outside of what we do.
Just add on to what Eric just shared, I think it's, navigators, people who are helping those students access the resources while they're in K through 12. And so whether that's the basic needs, being, connecting their families, but then it's also how do you navigate a system when you go to a workplace? How do you access food, basic needs? A lot of colleges also have basic needs services, food pantries. And I think if we're thinking about our responsibility as a community as a whole, what does it mean in terms of philanthropy, where dollars are being spent to ensure that those food pantries are full? Sometimes that comes from state or federal funding, but sometimes that comes from local resources. I know at Cal State Fullerton, we always, fundraise as a different alumni groups in order to make sure that those pantries are full. But that takes a lot of commitment, financial dollars, whatever other people can be able to provide, whether it's the food, housing, clothing. And so keeping that in mind.
Yes, thank you. And our second question comes from Gloria Alvarado from the Orange County Labor Federation. How are we to prepare for the new trends in the labor market due to artificial intelligence? That's a big one. That's going around everywhere. You want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah. I think one piece of that, we've talked a lot about career technical education today and some of those career skills, but CTE and our school districts are really focusing on essential skills. In Anaheim, we call them the 5 C's: critical thinking, creativity, character, communication, collaboration. Those skills are transferable to multiple industries, but I think they also are things that will help you in dealing with the pivots that Eric mentioned earlier in terms of being adaptable to changes in the workforce. The impact of artificial intelligence in a couple of months will look very different than it does even today. But we want to make sure we're preparing students to work with artificial intelligence, and that does take critical thinking. It takes knowing how to use the tool to be effective in your job. It's already an essential technical skill for any professional. So, for school districts, we have a framework for approaching artificial intelligence in the classroom. Many districts either have that or are on their way towards that to help teach students how to use artificial intelligence in their careers, but then also building in those skills of adaptability and character being so important as well as we think about the ethical implications of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, thank you. Our third question, we've been getting a lot of questions regarding financial aid and going to college, but this question is about financial literacy planning from Inez Castillo Torrico with MADCO and NORCO. What are your recommendations or suggestions around financial planning during the first college years and after graduation? Because there's always the hangover in terms of the debt.
On the in the Avid elective, we address this directly. We go through role playing. We throw out cards, and students get different salaries and different. They're living in different areas of the country and have to make choices, because really that's what financial planning is, right? Taking the financial resources that you have and learning how to navigate those financial resources, use it in a way that you can survive right now, right? With the inflation and the cost of everything. How do you make those choices? Do you go to Starbucks and have a coffee every day, or do you go out and buy a coffee machine and make your own? Those are all the choices that when students see the big picture, they can make better choices. And so addressing that, it comes back to not just getting them ready to leave the high school halls, but how are they going to be successful outside of it? So putting them through that. I know we have a financial literacy mandate, right, coming down where all of our students are going to be taking a course coming up. So that will help. But depending on the programs, I think we're addressing some of that already. But it's important to have all students have access to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we at the United Way for United for Student Success, we do get parents asking us how to begin teaching their students as early as possible about financial literacy and how to prepare for that journey that may sometimes be extremely costly. We are running out of time, of course. I knew this would happen, but we do have time for one more question. This question comes from Angelina Gurgis Grant Writing. How have recent changes in legislation affected admission for first-generation students? And that is a big one. Dive in, anyone?
I think I'll going back to what Eric said, even like the financial planning or semester requirement from the legislature, that shows a gap and an interest in ensuring that we're preparing our students to be financially responsible in the future. And that's a big part as a first generation student as well. I remember having to, you don't really know what does it mean taking out a loan, or you owe people money. So it's a big task in navigating. So I think even having that ability to have that learn that in high school is a huge step. Thinking of other stuff that the legislature has helped with first generation students, even like the ethnic studies requirement, seeing yourself in your studies and in your classes, and just really learning about different cultures, that really helps the first generation student experience. So grateful for the legislature and helping have additional courses that support our first generation students.
And again, I really do appreciate everyone, your questions that came in. We wish we could get to all of them. There are a lot of them, and it's great to see all the excitement and support for first-gen students. This final question goes to the entire panel. Just really quickly, for our final question is, what is one piece of advice you'd give that young first-generation student who is trying to figure out what success looks like for them?
Do hard things and keep practicing your grit. I think those are two really important things for all of our students to be aware of. The easy path tends to lead to more challenges down the road. And so when our kids do hard things, are curious, and they build on that grit, they can do almost anything. So
I would add just another layer to that. Is just the idea of taking risk. Be willing to take risks, build relationships, ask questions. But then I would also flip that question on us. I think we need to be proactive and reach out to the student, because a lot of the students, they may not have that agency yet. And although we're saying take risk and all of that, it's harder, it's easier said than done. We need to be proactive about saying hey, I'm going to extend my hand to you and help you.
Love that.
I think on that note too, as a first generation student, right, you'll be the first, but you won't be the last, right? So making sure that, very similar to what they said, you're craving a path for the next generation. So making sure that you're being part of that process and bringing people along with you.
Go ahead.
It's uncomfortable sometimes, but it's okay to fail. It's okay to hit a roadblock or something to go wrong. I think just remembering that it's how you recover from that, and that you will persist, and that there are people who will support you.
Yeah, and I would say be open to exploration and change. We pair our students with adult mentors in our internship program each year, and one of the big reliefs for our students is finding out that not everyone's career path is linear. Many of us didn't know what we wanted to do when we graduated from high school. For sure, we had an idea, but being open to those changes along the way, being okay with not getting it exactly right the first time, I think is critical for our students to know.
Wow, those are all great pieces of advice, and I'm just remembering, all these memories are rushing me. There isn't just one straight path. It's sometimes a zigzag for a lot of us. But I think what I got from this conversation is really about asking for help. And there are people like you, everyone on the screen that is here to support other students. I think it's our job to teach our children and our students to ask for help and just explore and make mistakes and get excited about what's next. So well said, everyone. Thank you all very much for being part of this conversation today. We're very, very blessed to be in partnership with you in the work that we do here in Orange County. We could not do it without you. And again, great big thank you to everyone. This has been so much fun. And now I'd like to bring back Sue Parks to close our program down.
Well, thank you, Sergio. Great job in moderating such a fantastic panel. And so thank you, Eric and Trustee Guerrero, Trustee Hernandez, Scott, and Ulises. Thank you so much. This conversation was, it was uplifting to know all of the wonderful things that are going on in our public school system. So thank you all for sharing what you do and how much you care about our students. I hope everybody understands the amazing work that's going on here and the opportunity to jump in. Like if you're a company listening to this, get involved, participate. If you're somebody that can be a mentor, be a mentor. There's so many ways to participate. But what I left with was just how wonderful that so much care and energy is going into helping our students succeed. So thank you. Thank you for that. And I wrote down, Eric, hard things and learned that grit. So as somebody who did not have a straight career path and ended up here in the role that I treasure, it's okay. Change, things happen, right? But learn that grit. I love it. Sergio, what did you take away?
I mean, the excitement of what happens when brilliant minds come together to solve problems is always exciting for me, and to know that our students are not alone. I mean, there's so many great programs and partnerships, and the excitement continues to grow that not every student's going to go to college, but there are a lot of other great opportunities available for us and for them to participate in, to be successful in life and to be able to live in Orange County. With that said, I just again want to thank all of you. If you're a business or looking to be give back meaningfully in the work, we want to invite you to, there should be a QR code that comes up on the screen. So if anybody is still on the call, would like to get involved with us, please scan the QR code, enter your information on there, and we'll personally get back to you and see how you can help us continue helping students succeed in life and prepare for life after high school. So again, thank you all very much.
Yeah, and we all need to care because this is our next workforce. We all need everybody to jump in. This is the future of Orange County. So again, thank you all. And just as a way of closing, with Cultures United, the goal of every session is to learn more from one another and embrace our differences and our similarities. So I encourage everybody, if you haven't seen any of our past Cultures United conversation, please go to the Cultures United webpage and scroll down and find those past conversations. I know you'll have a lot of learning and a lot of joy and a lot of ways that you can understand how we can be better, even stronger together. So until the next Cultures United comes up, it will be in the next few months. Stay on the lookout for that, but please take care, be kind to one another. That is all about the OC way. We talk about 4 million moments of impact that we can do together to make Orange County even greater. So make a positive impact every day, like these folks. So thank you all. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you sometime soon. Bye-bye.